Over here is unreclaimed waste rock dumps. So when you're mining underground, you go down a shaft, then there's a bunch of workings off of the station that you're at. So there's usually stations about every 100 feet. You go down and you have to get over to the vein that you're going to mine out. So you're going to have to move a lot of rock out of the way that is not ore grade. Although today that stuff probably would be ore grade. So ore grade in the past was maybe up to 40% copper. Today they mine like 0.25% copper. So what used to be crap is now valuable stuff. So this is waste rock. Don't call it tailings, please. Tailings are a different substance, but is what's been required is under Superfund is capping these sites that we see all over here. So right behind us, that whole landscape used to look like that. To reclaim it, they first have to cut down the steep slopes to a 2-to-1 or a 3-to-1. And then they if the pH is below 5.5, they lay out a layer of lime rock, then a growth medium, something they'll call topsoil, and then they plant it. In Butte, that started out under Superfund, actually even before Superfund, they were something called time critical removal actions for the most part. And they're not part of the whole normal process where you go in and do an investigation and figure everything out and then do a feasibility study where you figure out how you're going to exactly do the cleanup or the remedy. It's a different group out of EPA, and they come in and they say, oh my God, we've got kids playing on that stuff. That's not good. Let's take care of it in a time critical manner. And so the original stuff was not as well thought out, and it kind of took them, it's still evolving, and that's why I say Robert's, I think, critical to this now. If you look behind you, does anybody know what that one is? I'm not that much of a plant person, but I've learned some of these. That's crested wheatgrass. It comes from where Robert's from. Yeah. So this is a native plant in Europe. And when you plant it here, it tends to form a monoculture. It's really hard for native plants to move in there. Does anybody know what? This one's kind of hard to recognize, but this is part of the mix too. Yeah, it's just alfalfa.
They saw that out with the Rich Brothers.
Well, because they figured, well, we need something to increase soil nitrogen, and this fixes atmospheric nitrogen. But the state of Montana has a reclamation standard, and it was actually adopted by EPA as the standard that should apply. But by that time, the majority of the capping had been done. So sort of after the fact now, it's what do you do? Nothing's going to be done to this because it's stable, right? There's no erosion occurring. Like you look at the dump right there and you can see the erosion rills, and every time it rains, there's probably stuff that looks like chocolate milk pouring off of there. In this case, that's not a problem because that drains to the Berkeley pit. So it goes to all the water that'll eventually be treated. But these sites will have a permanent reclamation program. I mean, it'll go on for a very long time, and what they have to do now is fix problems, and problems do show up. So problems may be weeds, it may be that mine waste shows back up through and you have a bare spot that appears, and that's where Robert's really helped. He's now working pretty closely, I hope, according to Eric Hassler, who runs the program for Butte Silver Bow government. They're in charge of doing all of the reclamation management, they're now asking Robert, what do we need to do here? And it really is a program that needs adaptive management. In other words, over time you're going to learn what really works and what doesn't. And adaptive management is a key word. It really is for these long-term programs. Let's go in the gate, unless there's any questions right here. Let's go through the gate.
Yeah, I will tell them later on when you are not here more about stuff down and Whiskey Gulch. And
Okay, okay.
right now, this is just a contrast, really good between what would be here if no action would have been taken. Everything would look like just this. Even now, today,
Yeah, oh yeah.
did something, and it's kind of green. It's vegetated, and most people think it's okay. You know, it's kind of green, and they would walk in it. They would, you know, just consider it as an okay job.
You notice the little